brisk November afternoon in Michigan, a pilot and 4 passengers boarded a Britain Norman II Islander aircraft for a short flight to Beaver Island. The weather forecast predicted VMC conditions with scattered clouds and a gentle breeze, indicating a relatively smooth journey ahead. It seemed the perfect setting for what was expected to be just another routine flight over the serene waters of Lake Michigan. Yet destiny had other plans, and this ostensibly ordinary flight was set to become anything but routine. It was a Saturday around midday, November 13th, 2021, when a pilot and 4 passengers boarded a Britain Norman Islander at Charlevoix Municipal Airport in Michigan. The flight plan involved a journey from Charlevoix Municipal Airport to Welke Airport on Beaver Island, located approximately 29 nautical miles to the north of Charlevoix. This Britain Norman Islander, registered as November 866 Juliet Alpha, is owned and operated by Island Airways, a well-established air charter company with over 70 years of service in the region. Renowned for its dedicated service to Beaver Island, Island Airways offers both scheduled and charter air services, playing a vital role in linking Beaver Island with the mainland. Today's pilot is 55-year-old William Julian, familiarly known as Bill. Recently hired in March as a part-time pilot by Island Airways, Bill has also served as a social studies teacher at East Middle School in Traverse City. Additionally, he was an instructor for the Young Eagles program, an EAA initiative that supports young people pursuing careers in aviation. Bill has amassed a total of 2,949 flight hours, including 136 hours in this specific aircraft model. The Islander took off from runway 27 at Charlevoix Airport at 13:32, embarking on the brief 29 nautical mile flight to Beaver Island, typically a 15-minute journey. After takeoff, the aircraft made a right turn to align with a northerly heading, ascending to the planned cruising altitude of 1,500 feet MSL. Among the 4 passengers are 43-year-old Mike Perdue and his 11-year-old daughter Lainey. Mike is familiar with flights to Beaver Island, having traveled there frequently. Originally, Lainey was scheduled to visit a family friend on her own, but Mike decided to accompany her, looking forward to spending time hunting with family and friends. Initially booked for the afternoon flight at 3:30, they only decided at 11 that morning to switch to the earlier 1:30 flight. The other 2 passengers are the couple, Adam Kendall and Kate Lease. Adam, a 37-year-old attorney originally from Jackson, and Kate, a 35-year-old biochemist from Charlevoix, are traveling to Beaver Island to visit and tend to their newly planted vineyard, which recently gained an additional 2,100 grape roots. Their 2 dogs, Frank and Baker, are also with them on the flight. En route to Beaver Island, it became evident that the weather was deteriorating rapidly. Scattered showers and gusting winds were moving in, but the flight remained within VMC limits and proceeded toward Beaver Island. After crossing Lake Michigan, the flight reached Beaver Island, and the pilot reported their position at Sandy Bay. Approximately 3 nautical miles from the airport, a descent was initiated, and the aircraft maneuvered for a straight-in approach to runway 35 at Welke Airport.
Welke Airport, 866 Juliet Alpha at Sandy Bay for a straight-in approach, 35.
As the Islander was approaching and lining up for a landing at runway 35, it became clear that something was wrong with this approach. The airplane appeared to be somewhat out of control as it bounced around in the sky. What started out as just another routine flight was suddenly being transformed into an unforeseen tragedy. The chief pilot for Island Airways was at his residence next to the airport when he heard the pilot's position report from Sandy Bay. He stepped outside and saw the Islander approaching from the south. The aircraft appeared unstable, flying at a noticeably slow airspeed. He observed the plane's wings wallowing, making it clear that the aircraft was nearing stall speed. Suddenly, the chief pilot's worst fears came true when the airplane stalled and began a steep nosedive toward the ground. He watched in disbelief as the harrowing scene of the crash unfolded right before him. The airplane impacted the ground approximately 110 feet east of the extended centerline of runway 35 and 320 feet south of the runway threshold. The crash left a scene of devastation, with the fuselage crumpled and the wings severely damaged. Emergency responders and rescuers rushed to the site, working tirelessly to recover the victims and search for any signs of life. Amidst the wreckage, it became clear that miraculously, one passenger had survived the catastrophic accident, 11-year-old Lainey Perdue. Despite her critical injuries, she was swiftly airlifted to a nearby hospital for urgent treatment. The other passengers, including her father Mike, along with Adam Kendall and Kate Lease, tragically lost their lives, as did the pilot, Bill Julian. Sadly, the two dogs, Frank and Baker, also perished in the accident.
We have that ABC News exclusive. 11-year-old Lainey Perdue was the sole survivor of a plane crash that killed her dad. This morning, we're hearing from her mother about how her husband may have saved their daughter. She spoke with our Gio Benitez. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Robin, good morning to you. This is a mother who's mourning the loss of her husband while also celebrating her daughter's survival. And she believes what saved her life was a father's hug. She's a woman caught between a tragedy and a miracle. Christy Perdue opening up from outside the hospital where her 11-year-old daughter Lainey is recovering, the sole survivor of a plane crash that claimed the life of her father and 3 others.
The close-knit communities of Beaver Island and Charlevoix were left in shock and disbelief. It seemed unimaginable that a routine short flight could culminate in such a tragedy. The idea that an aircraft piloted by a respected aviator and operated by a renowned air charter company for decades could meet such a grim fate was beyond comprehension. As loved ones mourned and struggled to cope with the loss, the NTSB launched an investigation into the accident.
Tonight, air safety investigators are still looking into what might have caused a plane crash on Beaver Island. 5 people, including the pilot, were on board Saturday when the small passenger plane took off. But officials say shortly after it crashed at the airport. Only 1 person survived the tragedy, an 11-year-old girl who was treated for her injuries.
This airplane did not have, what is typically referred to as black boxes, but it did have a GPS on board that we were able to download. We have not had a chance, we were able to download it, but we haven't had a chance to look at the data.
Well, the National Transportation Safety Board says it is looking at the weight of the plane and wind as possible factors.
A few days after the accident, investigators obtained a statement from Mr. Paul Welke, the chief pilot and owner of Island Airways, who had witnessed the crash. He explained that 6 flights had been conducted on the day of the accident, with the first 5 being doubles, meaning 2 aircraft were used. This was a common practice leading up to the deer hunting season on Beaver Island. As he watched the accident aircraft approach the airport, he immediately noticed it was flying too slowly, seemingly in a near-stall condition. He also noted that it appeared no one was in control of the airplane before it crashed. Another pilot who landed at Beaver Island just 13 minutes before the accident provided valuable information to investigators. Joe Bears, a pilot for Fresh Air Aviation, had departed Charlevoix Municipal Airport at 13:19 and landed at Beaver Island Airport at 13:34, mere minutes before the crash. He noted a line of rain and snow showers starting about a mile south of Welkie Airport and extending to the island's southern edge. Bears observed the showers drifting southeast, accompanied by northerly winds. Despite the shifting weather, he found the wind conditions manageable. He emphasized that the weather had been changing rapidly throughout the day, a phenomenon not unusual when flying in the Beaver Island area. However, the METAR report for Beaver Island Airport, located approximately 3 nautical miles southwest of Welkie Airport, indicated the following 6 minutes after the accident. Scattered clouds at 2,000 feet AGL, wind from 320 degrees at 11 knots gusting up to 20 knots, and visibility at 10 miles. The weather was within VMC limits and was not considered a significant factor in the accident. The NTSB also retrieved track data from a handheld GPS used on the airplane, which matched the aircraft's ADSB data. Nothing unusual was observed, and it appeared that the flight proceeded according to the flight plan. It was determined that the inspection of the airframe, engines, and propellers revealed no pre-impact mechanical malfunctions or failures that could have interfered with normal operation, and calculations showed the airplane was within its maximum gross weight limits. Ultimately, the NTSB investigation concluded that the fatal accident was caused by the pilot exceeding the airplane's critical angle of attack during the final approach, resulting in an aerodynamic stall and loss of control. This finding proved underwhelming, as no one anticipated that a seemingly minor lapse in the pilot's judgment would lead to such a devastating crash. However, there remains speculation that an unforeseen factor may have played a role in contributing to the accident. With weather conditions within VMC limits and the aircraft adhering to its weight restrictions, the inability to maintain sufficient airspeed during landing emerged as the critical factor. The communities of Beaver Island and Charlevoix continue to mourn the victims and uphold their memory while striving to extract crucial lessons from this tragedy to prevent the recurrence of similar accidents.